Welcome to Wise Our Conversations, the podcast where we talk about life, work, and the many ways that our brains are wired. I'm your host, Amy Milnes, otherwise known as the Wise Our Coach, and I'm so glad that you're here joining us on this journey. This is a space for honest, relaxed conversations with all of my different guests where we talk about navigating life as a neurodivergent person or supporting someone who is. My intention is that through sharing these stories and through our shared experiences, that wherever you're tuning in from, that you feel a little more seen, a little more understood, and a little less alone. Thank you both so much. I know you've got a lot going on and busy all the time. So I super appreciate you being here. I've got my little emotional support amethyst fidget. So if you see me like wriggling and pressing on stuff, that's just what's going on there. So today's episode is very special for me because I'm joined by two people I've known for a really long time. Chad and I actually went to boarding school together in Narrogin, where we were the two hypo kids who probably made our teachers question their career choices. And when he and Mel started dating years later, I met her down in Albany, and it just made sense. I mean, you've always just been this couple that I've absolutely admired. You've gone through so much together, so much change. And Mel, you've just shared with me that you've gone down your own path of recognizing within yourself, that self-diagnosis path, and from going through the perimenopause that seems to be coming up in so many of my conversations lately. And Chad, I know that, I mean, from memory, you've known for quite a long time, haven't you, with your ADHD or ADD as it used to be called back in the day. When did you go through your formal diagnosis, if you don't mind sharing?
Primary school, I think about year 4
Okay.
in
Yeah.
primary school, and I was, diagnosed and medicated through till year 7, which was then into high school to year 8, and that's, they pulled the medication then and said, "You'll be right." But I really kind of wish we had have kept going. I would have done a lot better at school.
Yeah. Okay. And what was the reason for them pulling it?
I don't know, I think they just thought I'd grown up enough, or maybe it was gonna be too much hassle being away at boarding school and having to deal with script medication.
Oh, dear. Wow.
So, yeah, I'm not quite sure why they pulled it, but I'm sure I would have done a lot better through high school had I had that assistance.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
That's when your hormones are changing as well.
Yeah.
When it can accelerate the ADHD because of, you're getting that up and down until you start leveling out.
They were kind of right. I didn't do too bad, but
Yeah.
it was really nice to have have that have been able some time, bit of focus. Probably the structure of the hostel with the set study routines, like everything was so structured when you're at the boarding school that it probably did make quite a difference there.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting now. Can you imagine someone saying, "Nah, you'll be right," like a doctor or a medical professional in 2025 coming into 2026 going, "Nah, you'll be right. You don't need it." Like it shows how much things have changed from back then and how much more knowledge they have around neurodivergence and the importance of having that consistency and that support. And if people do need medical intervention and it does support them and help them, the difference that that makes. And I remember we were in maths class together, and I've always really struggled with numbers. Dyscalculia is one of the things that came up through my diagnosis as well, which is the dyslexia with numbers. And I remember we were sitting at the back of the classroom, and you and a couple of the other boys were making some little things with like a thumbtacks and minty wrappers, and like it was this little production line that was happening. It was nothing related at all with maths. So it's quite interesting thinking about the creativeness that was going into this little production line that was happening up the back of the classroom. If teachers knew then what they know now and tapping into that creativeness and finding a way to tie that in with what they're delivering and tune into that awesome mind that you have. Yeah, it's just something that's always stuck in my mind. It's a memory. It's like a memory from maths. And we were in the bottom maths too. I remember that. And you're now in a profession that requires you to be very maths driven and focused on, attention to detail and all of those things that require that part of your brain. What was the change for you? Because obviously the medication was taken away. What was your sort of transition that's got you to now?
I've always been good at maths,
Yeah, you would tell. That's
but I just was coasting at school. Once
I
I
think it was more the army. Once you got in, then you found
just
your
started,
place.
just grew up a bit and then did a bit
Yeah.
of adult learning. Once I started my adult learning stuff with the army, I did my storeman's course when I first joined, which there wasn't a great deal of maths in that, but I nailed it anyway. I got the ducks of the course without trying too hard. And I was like, oh, okay, this whole education thing isn't that hard at all. And just about every other,
To which you got bored, and that's where
yeah,
you started going onto a different angle,
yeah,
like
so,
going a different career path.
yeah, so I just,
That just progressed from there.
yeah, adult learning became easy. I realized that I can actually learn and learn quite well as long as I'm interested
Yes.
in the subject.
Which is classic ADHD.
Yeah,
If you're interested in it.
if you give me something I'm not interested in, nah, not gonna
Yep.
happen.
Find every other thing under the sun to not do the thing because you're not interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I actually saw there's a place in Perth now that has been created by a lady that's done quite a bit of work with neurodivergent kids, and it's quite progressive, and she's working with what she calls pods, and I'm just having a complete mental blank of what the acronym is. And there's just small rooms dedicated to each individual, and it's for adolescents that are navigating like the end of schooling and moving into that world of work, and supporting them with what how to help them with things that actually work with their brain, which I think is so powerful. If we had, part of this journey, I don't know if it's the same for the two of you, but looking in retrospect, if we'd had that support, or if we'd had people that were more aware back in the day, or similar thing like medication, or just that level of awareness, what could have been different, like the could have beens, and the noticing that part of it. And a lot of adults sort of, or later in life people that that either self-diagnose like yourself, Mel, or go down that formal diagnosis path like me, it's almost like this grief process that happens of like, what could have been for younger me if I had that support.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've both thrived and you've gone through so much change together as well. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to talk about. Chad, you've mentioned the army, and you've both moved, you moved quite a lot as part of being in the army, and having to
12 years.
yeah, having to start from scratch all over again, and yourself, Mel, with your own business and raising the two boys, and, navigating all the change that goes along with life. And then also navigating all of that with the added layer of neurodivergence as well. What do you think the thing is that's helped the two of you to maintain that solid unit together whilst navigating all of this? And I'm not saying that it's easy, because I'm not trying to paint this picture of like it's all fairies and rainbows and stuff.
Definitely not. Communication skills.
Yeah.
With Chad struggles, I think, definitely with the communication more than me. I think we eventually get there with the communication, because until we communicate properly, then we're sort of on the right path.
Never.
But
We're never on the same wavelength.
yeah, and I suppose it's just a lot of understanding. Like, I get him at the same time, and then we clash, and then it's sort of and then we just and we get along, I suppose, that because we have that, the understanding is there without really saying it. And because I didn't realize myself that I was a bit that way, I didn't realize I was a bit ADHD, and
Autism is real.
the autism is very real. I suppose resilience is more than the biggest thing, which in the classroom setting and in schools sort of wise, we have heaps of students now that require so much. And the teachers don't have the support. Then they're lucky enough to get one EA in the room, for one session a day, let alone all day. So, and like at one of the classrooms I deal with, we've got 6 totally neurodivergent students, all with such massive needs. And to having meltdowns and stuff because they can't cope in the world that we have now, which is fast paced also. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, because of the behaviors, the resilience is not there anymore.
What do you think was the thing that built that resilience for the two of you?
Just having to get through it, not having no choice a lot of
Yeah, no choice. So I think with the army, it really built us resilience because, like we'd get a posting saying, oh, you're going to be there for 3 years. But within 8 months, they're going, oh, no, we have to move you. You've got another posting. You
because I
all because
I
of
changed jobs,
change
so
job,
it has a shift.
promotion.
No, damn you getting promoted and doing well, Chad.
Exactly. Um, yeah, because and because it was it wasn't simple moves either. It's not just, it's not within the company. We were having to go interstate each time. So it was completely, changed, dropping everything and starting again.
Classic tism moment. There's a thread on Mel's pants. It's really annoying me.
And I'm playing with the hair lucky, so I've got my fidget.
You've got your stim. I just grabbed this fluffy pillow while you were talking as well to give that a like stroke the fairy wall moment as well. Well, I love it. I love it. But I love that you've shared that as well, Mel. I didn't even give that context when I was introing you because I just got distracted and moved away again. Classic ADHD neurodivergent moment. I actually didn't even finish reading all of the stuff that I've got here that I wanted to say about you both. But Mel, you've changed careers pretty significantly from being a business owner and the hairdressing side of things and into the education system and as an EA and supporting people with, is it still called special needs or has it changed?
No, it's still special needs. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's really challenging, isn't it? Because you've had some really high level, like as in high level of needs kids that you've been responsible for supporting in the classroom. So you've seen it firsthand for yourself as a parent and then also in the classroom. So that's a lot of contexts to experience that.
Yeah, it is. Over the years, like I've been doing this job for 10 years now, and the changes as each generation comes through, like I'm seeing already the changes in the students, and it's not just me. It's of course it's the teachers and it's the whole education department, and we're trying to move forward to help these kids. But again, it is that resilience that's missing from the kids of today, which it escalates behaviours, and especially with kids that are neurodivergent. And we're trying to accommodate the best we can when you've got 27 students. It's hard enough as being a parent. Classic example is having your own two kids at home during the holidays. They're driving you up the wall. Imagine having 20 in one day.
No,
5 days 5 days a week for one
wow.
person, just one person. So
That's
and
so
then
much.
trying to cater for all these needs, and that's what I try to explain to people that, still have the whole hate on teachers and thing and trying to, we are really trying the best we can to accommodate these needs. And we do. We have individual learning programs. We still do group sessions. We try to put those kids together to not so they feel included, but to also get the help that they need because the classroom is too loud. It's too busy. And we need to take them somewhere quiet so that they can help focus and not have the distraction and get them the help that they need. But unfortunately, like with everything, it comes down to money.
I was about to say it's the resource, it's the
Yeah.
limited funding and resources, isn't it? And one of my connections shared with me the other day, she saw an article somewhere that said there's 15,000 kids at the moment on the waiting list to get diagnosed
Yeah.
for ADHD at the
And
moment, just in Perth.
yeah.
Just in WA. So you can imagine that on a big, like an Australia-wide scale. And so then the number of kids that have received their diagnosis that potentially do have, the capability for funding and support, if you look at the statistics and the numbers of those kids that are on the waiting list, then there's even more that need that support that don't have maybe the access to it. So it's just, yeah, I don't know what the solution's going to be.
Yeah.
Circling back on the resilience piece, and you mentioned not having a choice because, things just change so quickly. And also one of the things that I've noticed as well, when you were especially, Darwin and like all the big moves that you did over on the East Coast and stuff like that. That's a long way from family and support networks too.
Yeah.
So that comes down to that we just got to do it. We don't have a choice. We don't have that fallback plan or that person that we can just
We don't
rely
have
on.
now that, but
We
that's for
have
so long. So
yeah.
is it this put up with it because this is the only support you've got?
That's right. And like, so our immediate family was not just, normally when you say immediate family, when you're around, it's, your parents and your brothers and sisters and their kids. That's normally immediate family. But when you're in defense, it's, it's just husband, wife, and kids. That's your immediate family. So you become a really tight network, and it's even when we moved back to WA, it took me years to ask for my mum's help because I just forgot she was there in Mandurah, only 20 minutes away, because I'm just so used to, if something happened, I just pack the kids up and I go and I deal with it, whatever. And then mum would be like, why don't you call me? I could have taken one of the kids. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot you were there. It's just, it was such a habit of being 13 years in the army.
Yeah.
Yeah, of doing it by yourself. You just yeah, and it just, I suppose, your resilience. And even now I still do it. It just it's just second nature. You just
Well, it's
y-
hardcore independence.
yeah, hardcore independence, and you get on with it. It's just, yeah, you don't get that choice.
Yeah.
Parents want to be to best friends instead of parenting. They don't want to say no to their child. And especially when you do have a neurodivergent child, saying no to them is going to cause them to escalate.
But it's
But it's very important to set those boundaries. And at the end of the day, you're not their best friend, you're the parent. And if that, if it causes an escalation, so be it. The child needs to know the boundary. And that's where the behavior part changes. If that child does not, especially a neurodivergent child, if they do not have that boundary, it will escalate behaviors.
I caused quite a lot of meltdowns with Jackson.
Yeah.
From setting boundaries.
Yeah, because I refused to budge.
Nudge, yeah.
Yeah.
You can
You had to in that area.
you can melt down all you like. It's not going to change.
Yeah. That's coming from the place of, I think the thing that I've always noticed with the two of you though, is how much love there is. It comes from a place of, I want to set you up to be the best human and person you can be in life, because you're going to get no's after school and you're going to get no's in life. And, by cushioning and not setting those firm boundaries so that you know what real life's going to be like,
Exactly.
you're not
And
setting them.
that's the biggest point. And you've just really hit the nail on the head, because that's what we now have to teach these children that I'm working with. Um, that, like, I can say no to them. I know it's going to set them off, but I have to put it in place to say, and then I explain to them that this is going to help you later in life, because when you leave the school at high school time, the real world, you're going to get no.
Yeah.
There is rules, there is, boundaries, there's
Social structures.
social structures. Yeah, you get, and it's, yeah, they're going to have a really tough time.
Yeah, yeah, and it is an important distinction. It's not just purely coming from the place of like authoritarian and
Oh,
you know
that's right.
just because I said so, which that used to drive me up the wall when I used to get told that by one of my caregivers and parents when I was growing up. I won't name who it is, but
Yeah.
because I said so, and I'm like, just explain to me why. I just want to know the reason why. If I understand the reason why, and I can make sense of it, then yeah, sure. But if you're just saying it for the sake of saying it, not taking the time to
That's
explain
good.
to me.
Now, that's where we do have some of that knowledge that we can explain why now, instead of because I said so.
Yeah.
What we got as kids. We all got that, but now we do have that knowledge of, we can say this is the reason why we say it.
In fact, you've told me on numerous occasions of the meltdowns that you actually dealt with by literally telling these kids what they're instead of that why, and I was giving them a full description or whatever. It's just sort of broken their bedroom.
Yeah.
Few times you said a
Yeah.
sick. So just being realistic with them, talking to them as
Yeah.
adults and
As
explaining, and they get it. They sort of
It's something that I've noticed the more I do this work is yes, there are a lot of people that are really struggling and it's quite debilitating with their neurodivergence and stuff like that. However, there's also the flip side of it, working to your strengths. For me, I'm very deadline driven. I'm very much, I can hyper focus and get a week's worth of stuff done in a day, especially with a deadline and especially if it's for someone else. So it's working to your strengths. It's finding out what those strengths are rather than limiting and saying, I can't do that, or that's out of my reach, or I've got this label. So now,
Work to do
yeah,
that. With working with those students is, the parent will say, "Oh, this is what they have." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great. That's awesome knowledge, but what are they into? What do they like?" I'd have to nut them out and find out exactly, and then use those interests to then use it and change it around into an educational setting. If they like motorbikes, sweet, let's count all these little motorbike cars to get them counting. And
that's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah, to be their strengths because, and yeah, because and being creative, which is a massive thing with neurodivergent kids, is being creative because it keeps their interest. And yeah, something I've learnt from Chad more than anything. Because
What does it say? I fix stuff and I know things. I love it. That's so good. Always the fixer. Always the fixer, always the doing things. I love it. With that creative side, because Mel, you've sort of shifted away from, you were so creative within the hairdressing space as well. And Chad, you've always been like making things and learning things and doing things. And like you've done so much around your house as well. And knowing things. Sorry, I forgot to mention the knowing things. Um, what is both of your creative outlets now?
It would still be my work, definitely my work, because I get to, I have such a huge variety of students that I work with. And I love nutting them out and finding everything about them and what works for them, even if it causes meltdowns, because then I know their stepping point and where their boundaries is and where I hit, it's gets overwhelming for them. Um, yeah, that would be my creative outlet there. What
Working
about yours?
working stuff out.
Yeah,
So that's and then I mean mine's in my work too because fault finding
fault finding,
is
definitely.
is the fun thing. And actually my current role now I kind of am the jack of all trades, which is me anyway. So I just fix whatever and sort whatever and get to come up with a solution for something I've got no idea how to do, that I'll fix it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it ties into that part of the brain that wants to find that solution and figure out how to do it in a creative way.
And then the hyper focus kicks in.
What sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Oh, that's awesome. Um, so I've got a couple of questions here as well that I've pre thought of, just in case I have these like little brain melts sometimes. Oh yeah, this is a good one. I like asking this question because it might help me as well because I'm still trying to figure out what's going to help my brain because it changes all the time. Do you have any systems, habits, or you mentioned before, Chad, like the rigidity or the structure, sorry, of going to boarding school and the hostel and having set times for everything really helped? What systems, habits, tools, or little things do the two of you have that you've implemented into either your own individual way of living and working or as a family unit, as a couple? What are those things that help you?
Lists.
Definitely lists.
Lists, yes.
Love
Love
that.
a list.
And the calendar. We have a shared calendar.
Yeah.
So if something comes up, like even today, we put it into the calendar. We both get that notification. We both get to read it instead of saying, "I told you this was going to happen on this day," and it.
And you can put in, instead of actually asking about doing something, you just put it in as pending on there and wait for them to read it.
Yeah,
Yes. So what are we doing here?
yeah. We've
Oh,
all
that's awesome.
got our own colours, to represent each person. Mine's purple, and the Trent and Jackson are blue and green, and you're just
So brown.
you're.
I really like that idea because I was transferring everything in my digital calendar onto a whiteboard and it's come unstuck last week where I actually was late to a workshop that I was meant to be facilitating. And then I hadn't, like, there was a last minute call that I was supposed to have that I'd put into my digital calendar, but not on my whiteboard. And I was using this whiteboard, which is so old school, as this point of reference. And I had it on there so it was visual, it was on the fridge. Brad could see it as well, so that when he's not working and he's here, he can make himself scarce and not be kind of in the camper while I'm doing calls and stuff. But I think the shared digital calendar is a really good idea because then you've both got, I mean, we've always got our phones, well, most of the time, got our phones on us. So you can access it any time and have a look at what's coming up.
Well, it gives you the notifications, like you can set your notification to what's happening 15 minutes earlier, an hour earlier, day before, so that, it can really help you into that sort of
Put all the notifications on the important ones.
yeah.
10
So,
reminders
yeah,
for the day.
absolutely.
So you said as well, so you said the digital calendar and then lists. So when you create, because this is a thing that I've noticed in lots of ADHD and neurodivergent communities and stuff, people say, yeah, that's great. But then, like, I've got this long list of things and I feel overwhelmed and I don't even know where to start. And I don't know kind of how to prioritize everything on this list.
Yeah.
What works for the two of you? Do you have different ways of approaching your list and getting it done?
I suppose my doing list. I have a doing list for when I come home. The stuff that needs doing.
Sorry, babe.
Um, it's usually all over the shop. There's short term things in there, long term things, but I sort of know how long each one's going to take, and I'll just usually pick them off from the easiest first.
Yeah, that's not going to take too long.
How many jobs can I get done in a day? I'll do all the quick ones. Have a really productive day.
Yeah.
Love it. That's such a good tip.
Do too much on when we're actually got our day together because I work part time. That's it's like don't forget you can leave that to when I'm not here to keep him busy as well. And then so we can just have our own time together, which is what we've put in place. And for when but because he is FIFO, having at least a day, maybe two, just works just us. And yeah, just unwinding and whether it's we're doing something productive to do with whatever's happening at the house, because we do like to do renos. Or going away camping or something, but just having our own time out. I think that's helped, especially relationship wise too. Is
Not so much with the permanent resident in the house at the moment.
Yeah, till Jackson's because Jackson's finished high school. He's home all the time, but he's in his little dungeon playing games. So to get him out of
Yeah.
we're including him. So to
Yeah.
and yeah, with his neurodivergency as well, then it helps with his creativity and motivation, and just added a different layer with having me trying to get him on schedule and giving him a routine because otherwise he's up late at night, and then sleeping all day, and getting him where Chad's home, he can get him out and help him with doing stuff around the house, and that helps with his creativity and just
Yeah, having a crack at start.
yeah, learning something as well, changing his focus instead of just then gaming, which is very typical of neurodivergent because they get that hyper focus onto something they like, and of course, kids of today, it's gaming.
Yeah. And the dopamine hit, all the receptors are firing because I've got all of this
Exactly.
stimulation
So they're
happening.
getting that massive dopamine hit like straight away, which is huge off of technology. And that's of course then it causes meltdowns later on with having too length time on there. So I try
Yeah.
to a minimum without him knowing that I've got him on a routine as well, or scheduled times. So it's just like, okay, I need your help here. Without him going, oh, your time's up in 5 minutes, like so because he is an adult now and because it's like putting a boundary in without him knowing that there's a boundary.
I heard someone share on I think it was a YouTube or a TED talk. I think it was a YouTube around cheap dopamine
Yeah.
and doom scrolling on social media, gaming, like all of these things that have just become almost the norm in
Yeah.
in society is that cheap dopamine. So online shopping, even people on dating apps, which we don't know about. It's been so long. Like we don't know this world of like swiping like you're ordering a pizza for dating, but All of that stuff is what's referred to as cheap dopamine because it's instant. You can get it straight away, but then it wears off really quickly. So then you're always chasing the high of that initial quick dopamine fix. Yeah, so that's something that I thought hadn't heard it referred to as that before as cheap dopamine, but I thought that's actually a pretty good way of describing it.
Yeah.
If you were to give advice to other parents that are navigating life, either living with their own neurodivergence and then trying to support kids, or, I mean, if we look at the statistics and like the hereditary nature of neurodivergence, they're probably navigating their own plus their kids.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them from your own experiences to help them? It's a big one, isn't it? I've just like,
Yeah.
Stick at it.
Yeah. I just think,
I think especially if you're looking at hereditary,
yeah.
you've got to think about yourself as well as them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's one.
It's tucked away quickly. No.
Like I always used to be what Mel considered harsh with the kids, and always on top of them before they'd even done anything. And she's always like, you're not even letting him do it before you get on top of him. I'm like, but he's like me. I know him. This is where this is going. So I'm on it before it even starts. And so that's just that understanding of, I know exactly what he's thinking because I've already thought it, because my brain's off down there as well. I've just got a bit more control. So thinking like that, you can help trim their behavior, knowing what you like yourself.
yeah, that's a really
Like,
good.
It's what's the whole goal of parenting, is to make your kids better than yourself.
It's also in allowing them to make the mistakes so that they learn and understand. So you can't be too onto it. So it's like my honest advice would be is keeping to your own standards of what you have as parenting standard. And to me, I get that from my parents. They were very, straight down the line. But, you do have to get into that grey area a little bit. Not so much the grey area, but just getting, choose your battles. Like there is that part. And I think,
Especially with neurodivergent.
especially with neurodivergent, with what we call now soft parenting, there's a part where it's gotten too soft, that because we're not setting the boundaries. And I think, think of yourself of how you were brought up. If you were happy with that, what would you change to make it better? Like, okay, if my mum didn't understand my brother because he's very neurodivergent and undiagnosed, and he struggles still a lot to this day. And he won't go down that path to help himself. And I'm trying to help him in that way, but yeah,
So
it's totally different story, very stubborn as well. So that makes it hard. But I think, yeah, it's
you got to have a
yeah,
bit of understanding.
you got to have a bit understanding.
Especially if
when
you're a
it's-
non-neurodivergent parent and you're trying to deal with the kids that are,
Yeah,
you probably ought to rely on your partner a bit and
yeah, it's
speak,
communicating,
because yeah,
getting on the
you,
same track.
you
Yeah,
really don't. Yeah, people that are neurodivergent trying to deal with people that are, your thought trains are completely different.
yeah, definitely.
They're not even on the heading on the same track or heading in the same direction. They're like
Yeah.
opposite ends of the country. Choo choo.
Yeah, that's it. And I suppose, and that's where a lot of divorce can come in, because it's just, yeah, because like I never noticed it when Chad and I were together. When we first got together, I never noticed his ADHD, probably because, back then my energy level was way up and we were just, off on our tangent. As you know, was back there. We were just doing our thing. And it wasn't until we had kids that I needed him more, and that's when I noticed the ADHD part more in him, because I suppose I was settling and my focus had turned to the kid. So, and then he was still very much him, like it sounds almost like he could become across as selfish, but it's this, when you're not neurodivergent, you're in your own little world as well. And I think that's, as a non-neurodivergent person, that's where you struggle to understand their little world. Getting
Yeah.
what you were saying. And I think, It's trying to be patient when they are having meltdown. Don't scream and yell at them. When they're having meltdown, let them,
Back to kids.
yeah, give them some space, give them some take up time. And as a parenting side of part, both parents have to be on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
You
double standards are the wrecker of
is the record.
everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kids will abuse double standards.
Yep.
Any
Do
yeah, that's
It's
it.
done it. Seemed like it for generation.
Yeah. If you can
I
help to set the standards and maintain your own standards, even if they're fairly relaxed standards, if
That's
you
it.
just maintain them down the line, your kids will always know where they stand. And then
Yeah.
it all works
And
back
they
from
can't
there.
blur lines and then
Yeah, that's a really important one. It pretty much directly links back into that kind of the boundaries and the behaviors and the standards and the expectations thing that we were talking about right at the start, because I certainly even noticed it in my household when there was inconsistencies with one parent trying to put their foot down and the other one's like, "Oh, here you
oh,
but like come over here." It's like, "Oh, well, I know you're the weak link. I'll work on you next time and I'll get what I want." And
that
then every time after that, there'd be like, yeah, stuff that would happen. And you mentioned Chad's own little world, and I'm glad that you've mentioned that because it is almost like I don't know if it's the same for you, Chad. I'm definitely internally always hyperactive. My brain doesn't shut up ever, and there's always, there's multiple conversations going on. There's multiple things that I'm thinking about. It's just always on. My brain is always on. Sometimes I will come out partway through a story that's running in my mind or partway through a memory that's running in my mind and expect Brad to know where I'm at and what I'm talking about. And he has to kind of piece it together. And I might get frustrated with him because he doesn't understand where I'm at with something that I'm talking about or asking about or sharing. And we've had to learn through our communication. He now realizes that there's probably been like an hour's worth of conversation already happening up here. And he's getting like the last little part of that. So piecing it back together and me realizing, oh yeah, I'm always busy up here and there's always so much going on. But by me communicating with Brad that the reason that I've reached my peak levels at this point in time is because I can hear the fridge whirring, I can hear Luna whinging and breathing, I can hear like the birds outside, I can hear the TV going, I can hear like all of the noise is just feeling suffocating. And then it might just be one more thing that tips me over the edge.
yeah.
And by explaining that though, he's like, ah, and he puts his headphones on. Oh, thanks for explaining it. I'll put my headphones on to listen to my YouTube or whatever it is that he's watching that's tipped me over the edge. But it's so true, isn't it? Like by
Well, I find
trying to unpack our world so that the other person understands it a bit better.
Yeah.
we've sort of have a solution for that. We just call each other out on it.
Yeah.
When you
You started the conversation in your head again. As exactly when I get and I tell you.
it's like, do you want to tell me that story from the start? Yep.
I love the bit where I'm explaining how I got to here
Yeah.
from all the way over here, and I'm like, "Well, that reminded me of that," and then I started thinking about that, and then
Well, you're just like,
And I'm like, wow.
and that's all happened in this short period of time.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, 3 seconds.
yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I'm not that 100% way, even though perimenopause has brought out my distraction, but my thoughts into being neurodivergent is not like Chad. So we're different on that. So that part we clash because Chad will be wave on his own wavelength, and then he comes out halfway mid conversation. Then he's trying to explain to me where he got there, and then I got distracted. You know, while he was explaining, I've gone all shiny. Who knows? And yet, and I've had to pick that up on myself because I've always been told that I'm a good listener. But now going through the whole perimenopause track and my hormones have changed, that I get distracted like a little kid again that I was. And I now have to constantly pick myself up and really look at someone and focus, really try hard to focus on that conversation and not let distractions come in. And, so that's been my challenge.
It is challenging. I'm glad that you said the word challenge because it is. It's not easy to navigate this.
And that gives me a slight understanding of what you guys go through, and especially with, the ADHD, of how your brain's just constantly ticking, 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 and,
And it's
and
rapid.
because I work with kids like that, it
Yeah.
just coming in handy for me to. I use Chad as my sort of guinea pig, and working out so I can go, oh, that will work for that child, and that will work for that child, and
I really like that. I think it's all about
there.
learning and adapting as we go, isn't it? Because we're changing, and I've certainly experienced similar to yourself, Mel, like my distractibility. There's so many things since perimenopause are hit that I didn't like. I'd found coping mechanisms throughout my whole life that have worked up until this point of the
Yeah.
last sort of year or so. And now I'm like, why can't I just do the thing? Because the hormone fluctuations and the things are changing. And I mean, I have put myself into an environment of constant change as well. So doing this trip. So, just chuck that flavor in as well. But it is it's about having that, I think, for Brad and I can see the same with you, the two of you. As long as you can still maintain at least some form of communication, even if it's not perfect. And even if, I mean, we blow up at each other as well. We have those days where it's just frustrating because you just want the other person to get where you're coming from and they don't. And you do have those challenges, but as long as you can come back, it's always in that coming back to each other and trying to figure it out, which is something that you've always done, which is awesome.
A routine is the biggest one, and especially when you are going through changes, like even you just, with your travels, is trying to keep some sort of routine, which helps that,
Yeah.
the focus, and,
Is what I,
because when you're at work, you're
yeah,
totally different to what you're at home.
I've got a great routine at work, and work structure. It's back to the whole structure thing, like I get up at this time and have breakfast, do that, do that. Everything happens in a chain, and then I start work, and then after work, they'll just everything follows on. All the timings are set. Then we come home, and everything goes out the window.
Yeah, it disrupts my routine from when he's away to when he comes home, and yeah.
Yeah, even the FIFO layer is an added layer, isn't it? Because I certainly noticed it for myself when Brad was working away. I did. I had, even though it was probably not the most effective routine, I had some form of a routine of my life when Brad was away. And then it would change, and it was sort of out of whack for that week or so that he was home. And then you go back to he's gone again, and even with like the extra layer of having the parenting side of it in the mix as well, like having the boys having their routine when they were still guided more by you and that sort of thing. And then Chad comes home, woo! It goes a little bit out the window, then having to get back into it, get everyone settled back into their things again. Have you implemented some of that structure and routine at home? And you said that you've got your set days now that you try and have off together, and you've got your calendars and you've got your things. Have you noticed that by doing those things, you've sort of brought some of that routine and structure home as well?
A little bit, yeah. It's probably not so much with Chad. I think he still struggles the most, whereas I try and not let him distract me to the point. I always say to him, "You've distracted me again."
Just
But
existing.
yeah, because he's fluffing about, like full fluffing about, because he's just hasn't got a routine. Normally, his interests when he's at home would help him to get into a bit of a routine, because if there's surf on, that's it. For he gets up really early in the morning, goes off for his surf, which doesn't interrupt my morning routine of getting ready for work, or was getting the kids, well, Jack, the kids ready for school as well. But it's just, yeah, it's not distracting me. But without that, having, because that sort of set him up then for the day of a bit of a routine, because they go for a surf, come home, clean everything, have breakfast, and then and that would put him into a better sort of frame of mind. But because surfing's quite fickle, it can only happen when there's swell and certain swell, that it throws him out of routine a bit and
These-
stress stuff at the way. So trying to keep then just get up and do a breakfast routine and go from the day from there.
Yeah.
Try to implement that, if that
That's
works for
it.
me.
And the hard thing is, I'm used to getting up, throwing clothes on, and going straight to breakfast. I sort of do that here. try and fire up the fry pan at 6 o'clock in the morning, everyone gets upset.
Everyone's like, shush, wake me up. Yeah, and the body clock thing from FIFO as well. Like, Brad's been doing some casual work here just in Toowoomba in Queensland, and he's had really because it's a crane hire company. They have all different jobs booked in at different times throughout the day. So he hasn't had that consistency in getting up at the same time and starting work at the same time every day. And that's been really challenging. Yeah, but it has been, I think that's such an important thing. Brad's not neurodivergent. Well, he hasn't gone down the path of diagnosis and we don't know, but for anyone watching, whether self-diagnosed, whether not diagnosed, whether diagnosed, I think routine is a really helpful thing. But then you get people that have the oppositional defiance of like, you can't tell me
Yeah.
put that in place. I'm going to do the opposite of that. So that's a whole nother layer to navigate as well.
I wouldn't fun at school doing with that one. Dealing with
Oh
that.
yeah, I bet I bet it is. I just noticed the time. I've got this really cool segment that I've created to wrap things up that I've called tangent time.
Yeah.
So I've got some rapid fire questions that I'll ask you both and I encourage just come with the first answer that comes up. You ready?
Could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they're not along those lines. It's pretty easy. So the first question is inside or outside?
Outside.
Inside.
Noisy or noisy or quiet?
Quiet.
Quiet.
If you were a snack, what sort of snack would you be?
Chocolate. No.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I feel like chocolate right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you stole mine was chocolate. I got chocolate.
I reckon probably something spicy actually, like that hot cheese twist.
Yeah.
You can both be chocolate. It's okay. There's no rules. I forgot the first question on the list. For some reason, they're around the wrong way, which whatever. You come home and there's dishes on the sink. What do?
Yell at the kids.
Yeah, they've done their chores, procrastinate over it. My biggest one.
Go, no, the kids can do that. One of them.
Yeah.
I love it. And then the last question is, what is something that's currently living in your head rent free?
That car I just parked around the back corner.
Music. It's always in my head.
Yes, mine is like random music as well. I talked about this in my first podcast. It's usually if I don't remember the lyrics to something, it'll loop in my head until I listen to it and figure out what the lyrics are, and then I can close the loop. Or 90s like ads from TV or radio or something. 1300 6555 or like all of this random stuff that just popped into my head.
Hell random songs in my head while I'm out surfing and stuff. I'm like, I didn't even know I knew these songs. And start playing
Love it.
them again.
Anything else you want to add to wrap things up or to share with any listeners who might be tuning in, whether they're watching or listening to this? It's okay if you don't. We've covered quite a lot of ground.
Yeah. Mostly be kind to yourself. That would be that's the hardest thing to do. Yeah, because you will notice differences, and there will be things that you see out in the normal life. You'll go, oh, that the information that you're getting now, and go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm ticking that box, I'm ticking that box, and then, as you said, it can cause grief, and especially if you are decide to go down that path. So I think just be kind to yourself, be patient, um, take some time out is the biggest one. Had some quiet time to deal with things. You do have to have that me time, which is not something that we ever used to deal with. But I think it is important these days to have with understanding that we do need that me time, which is just quiet time. It doesn't have to be but spoiling yourself. It's just quiet time.
Yeah,
We could have such a fast paced world. That would probably be my 2 cents
that's
worth.
awesome.
Sitting out the back waiting for waves. That's my quiet time.
I like it. I like it. You're braver than me. I'm still not a deep water in the ocean person, even 11 months into this trip. So thank you both, honestly, so much for sharing everything that you've shared today. I know that it's going to help people that are listening. And, I'm sure there'll be lots of conversations that come off the back of this as well. And I'm really looking forward to connecting with you both when I'm back in WA again, which I don't know when that'll be. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you both so much for carving out some time in your busy schedules for today. It's awesome.
No worries. Good to see ya.
You too. Take care.
Happy travels.
Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in. I trust that you got some value from this conversation today. If there was something in this conversation that you think would help someone else, please share it with them. Feel free to check out at the Wise Owl Coach. I'll also link below. Bye for now.
Yeah, that's
But I mean,
He's a baby.
Nice. Oh my God, she's so cute.
you got a little suit.
She's a dookie wrinkles here on her note. Like she's always got like sharp eye.
Yeah. She's still got the nice dark face. Poor Luna's almost completely white now.
She's only she's not quite 2 years old yet.
Oh, she's so cute. There's such Luna's at my feet. I've got my feet on her. I either have my feet on her or under her. She's my little kind of grounding tool that I use. The weighted foot blanket that I use.